Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Digital World segment brought to you by Navé Travel, today we're featuring Chris Mattmann, Chief Technology and Innovation Officer at NASA and in the aerospace industry in general. His work has helped explore space and helped journalists and governments track international financial crime amongst the world's elite. Today, we're chatting all about artificial intelligence, from how it can make space travel and exploration safer, to how it will revolutionize data threats and breaches, to even how it will reshape human interactions. Space travel, exploration, and observation involve some of the most complex and dangerous scientific and technical operations ever carried out. This means that it tends to throw up the kinds of problems that AI is proving itself to be outstandingly helpful with. Within the last decade, AI has revolutionized industries such as healthcare with image analysis and disease diagnosis, to customer service with 24/7 support, and to retail with demand forecasting and inventory management. In relation to space exploration, by automating spacecraft operations, AI systems can autonomously navigate, avoid obstacles, and optimize mission efficiency, ultimately enhancing the success and safety of space missions. With AI as a trusted ally, the possibilities for exploration and unraveling the mysteries of the cosmos are boundless. Here to chat further is my expert at hand, Chris Mattmann. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hey, Zen. Thanks for having me. Really happy to be here. And hey, everyone out there in the audience.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in. So, in what ways can AI technologies help mitigate risks and hazards, what we call during space missions? And what specific applications of AI can be utilized to improve astronaut safety?
Yeah, so Zen, a lot of the risks that we have in space missions are due to things like anomaly detections. There's an error with the instrument, or the power has gone lower than it needs to, or it's gone below a threshold. These are repetitive tasks, and humans like you and I and others get tired of checking the same things over and over again. But computers don't, and in particular, AI doesn't either. AI is like a superpowered set of many, many humans that's really good at pattern detection, pattern matching, and things like that. And so related to spacecraft health, instrument health, things like that, what the AI can do is it can do repetitive tasks a lot faster than us. And so you typically hear words like robotic process automation, anomaly detection, so on and so forth, health. So AI is being deployed in those types of environments. And then AI is also giving us a kind of broader understanding of some of the science that's coming back from these instruments as well. So, like you talked about in your intro, image analysis, data analysis, and things like that. And so AI is really being kind of like a robotic intelligent assistant to help us there.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, when you read all of these science journals, I mean, a ton of advancements, autonomous operations, efficient communication between astronauts, and detection, as you said, of any environmental issues are always in which AI brings efficiency to space systems. For example, I was reading Simon, Crew Interactive Mobile Companion, developed by Airbus and IBM, is an 11-pound robot equipped with facial recognition technology that can converse with the astronauts and recognize who it's talking to. It's fascinating. So yes, I mean, so much application, which brings me to let's chat application. How can the collaboration between AI experts such as yourself and space agencies such as NASA enhance space exploration? And what are some of the incredible ways that AI is currently being used in space travel?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way it can enhance, collaboration is you could imagine that AI today replicates at human or better level many of the human senses. In fact, it's biologically inspired. In 2012, there was a model called AlexNet, and you might have heard in the news recently, Jeffrey Hinton, left Google, in a TIS, basically saying, hey, AI is going to be the biggest threat, and to advocate outside of Google, kind of against AI. And one of the things with that is his student Alex was the developer of AlexNet, which was this model that replicates the ways that our eye works. In 2014, Baidu pushed out the deep speech model, which is the foundation of modern, and I hope I don't set anyone's off here, that A word from Amazon that I won't say, but Google Home and things like that for
Yeah.
intelligent assistants. It's an ear. It hears sound and it turns it into text. 2018, BERT from Google, which is the foundation of ChatGPT, which is language to language interaction. So we've got eyes, we've got ears, We've got language to language interaction. Imagine all of the applications for that, like you said, for astronauts in space, for crews, for all sorts of interactions, for seeing things, for hearing things, for being able to command and control without typing. Obviously, that's not so easy in a spacesuit, and things like that. So those are all the ways now that we have AI senses that it can be helping.
Interesting, because there's so many incredible ways AI is being used, especially when you talk about, predictive maintenance, star and galaxy mapping. That was an interesting one for me, or planetary geology, what they call astrogeology, rocket landing. So it's funny. I used to have a segment called "Fly Me to the Moon," and I would speak to astronauts, and we would feature them. And rocket landing was something that I was always talking about. I was obsessed with this one. So SpaceX has been improving and refining how rockets operate, and they use AI to monitor and analyze data from the rocket sensors and telemetry systems, allowing for better decision making and more precise control of the rocket's trajectory and speed. And in fact, SpaceX, and this is not a plug for SpaceX, it's just interesting for their technology, they also use AI to automate certain aspects of the rocket landing procedure, such as controlling the engines and landing gear and making sure the rocket is in the optimal position to land. So, yeah, I mean, like, where are you going without these robots, right? Let's chat data. So now, interestingly, you are best known for a 23-year career inventing the most downloaded software on the planet, creating technology that powers all the data systems in the industry. Tika, the digital babblefish, is the key technology that solved the Panama Papers and won the Pulitzer Prize in Journalism in 2017. Congratulations, you are a superstar for that alone. And for those, I'm going to just put this out there listening, that the Panama Papers are 11.5 million leaked documents that were published in April of 2016. And the papers detailed financial and attorney-client information from more than 250,000 offshore entities. Now, Chris, what drove you to this invention? And now, looking back with AI at hand, in your opinion, how will it really revolutionize and detect threats and data breaches more efficiently without compromise? I mean, you did this by yourself.
Yeah, Zen, I really appreciate the question. And I joke about the Panama Papers. That's where we figured out Hermione Granger was storing her money in offshore accounts, amongst other things. But Emma Watson was one of the people caught up in that. So at NASA, at other places, I've been the data guy. I used to call myself a data plumber, and a lot of it is managing big data. Sensors are bigger now; they take more data, other things like that. And so, managing and processing and turning data into knowledge is a foundation really of AI. And not everyone sort of understands that. But basically, the simple way to explain it is that AI expects data to look like Excel sheets. It expects data to look like columns and rows, in which the columns are things we want to observe, and the rows are different samples of those columns. However, the world doesn't look that way. The world is messy. It's audio, it's images, it's video, it's all sorts, it's Word documents, PowerPoints, it's email. It's all sorts of heterogeneous data. And so the foundation of Tika and all of this work it did on the Panama Papers and all of these things before was to take that unstructured, ugly world and turn it into structured, almost Excel sheets. And so, you heard about Andrew Yang talk about this in the 2020 presidential campaign. He talked about data as the new oil. And the implication for that, oil is useful, right? Because we refine it into gasoline, which powers our cars and, powers all sorts of things. But that refinement process is the IP, it's the intellectual property for BP, Chevron, everywhere else. And so that's the type of work that I've been working on, is that refinement process to take unstructured world, turn it into structured knowledge.
I love it. Now, when you look at the bigger picture, like micro versus macro, I mean, AI can monitor data access and use, like you said, patterns, identify unusual patterns that may indicate a data breach, and alert data managers, right? It can also suggest measures to mitigate the breach, such as blocking unauthorized access and encrypting sensitive data, or strengthening these access controls. But this brings me to, let's chat privacy, right? So AI systems often rely on collecting and analyzing vast amounts of personal data, which raises concerns about privacy, and the potential misuse or unauthorized access to this data can result in significant breaches of privacy and personal security. What do you say to this?
I mean, it's true. What I say is, you don't have to look anywhere else but the news to see, there are governments, especially some of our foreign adversaries, including China and other places, that literally have no problem putting facial recognition out there, using it on their citizens and everywhere. And there are no ethical sort of guidelines related to that. And so one of the things I say is that we need to continue developing AI ethics. The West and the US could be a leader, in this. Europe has the AI Act, in which they're starting to put out some of these AI ethics guidelines related to bias in the training data. Obviously, the early smart cars, one of the challenges with them, they had never seen a handicapped person or someone in a wheelchair, or they had never seen a person of color. So we don't want training data that doesn't reflect our population, number one. So bias in the training data. The second thing is, when these AIs make predictions, we want to know the confidence in them. We don't want to just know it's going to rain tomorrow or it's going to be sunny. We want to know the confidence behind that, because one of the challenges is when it doesn't rain tomorrow, what they never told you is that it was only 15% confident it was going to rain. And that was the best option amongst all the other options beside it, which were even less than 15%, which isn't really confident. And then finally, we need to help people. A lot of people are worried about their jobs related to AI. Are they going to displace and all of that? Well, hey, I live out here in Pasadena. The 110 freeway was built in the early 1950s, 1940s for roads and beltways, right? It's the craziest freeway in the world. It was not built to go 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
However, it was built in the horses and buggy time, right? Post that. And so we had all this upskilling, that was done, that had to be done to take the folks who weren't building horses and buggies anymore and were building cars. The same thing needs to happen with AI. We need to provide upskilling and soft landings for all of our people.
Unemployment and job displacement is a big one, because the automation capabilities of AI may just result in job displacement, to your point, and significant changes in the job market are going to occur. So this raises concerns about the impact on individuals' livelihoods, on income inequality, and the need for retraining and reskilling programs. So, lack of transparency is also one, because AI algorithms can be complex and opaque, making it challenging to understand how they make decisions or even reach conclusions. So this lack of transparency can undermine accountability and raise concerns about potential biases, to your point, or unethical practices embedded in the very algorithm. So that's a key one to really look out for. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Now, we have about 2 minutes left before I cut to a commercial break, but one of the other interesting questions was, are there any specific industries or sectors where AI has shown significant impact in revolutionizing data threat and breach prevention? We have about a minute left.
Yeah. I think that there's a couple. I think related to ransomware, AI, and especially cybersecurity threats across hospitals and things like that. I think AI will be a very powerful tool, because it's already going through everyone's, passwords and things like that. And this is what's telling us in the cybersecurity world, hey, we need updated password requirements and guidelines. We need to reduce access to these particular networks and things like that. So AI is really poised to make a big contribution there to, protect against these cyber ransomware types of things that are getting in and infecting people's networks, and especially in very critical environments like hospitals and other places like that. And schools. LAUSD had a huge cyber ransom hack last November, and AI has the potential to help mitigate that.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, the one thing I am going to say is, with everything advancing so fast, the psychological impacts are exactly what we should be focusing on too. Separate of, I segued here because I want to make sure that people who are listening right now are going to continue on to our extended segment on our YouTube channel, because we do only have him for 15 minutes here live on the radio. But one of the next questions in our extended segment is going to be, with AI advancing so fast, what are these psychological impacts? And I'm going to leave everybody with saying that AI systems designed to interact with humans, such as chatbots or virtual companions, may have psychological impacts on individuals, blurring the line between human and machine relationships. So it's essential to consider the potential consequences on mental well-being and emotional attachment, because social isolation is going to become a thing. And the increasing use of AI-powered tech, such as virtual assistants and social robots, is going to lead to reduced human-to-human interaction and potentially contribute to social isolation and loneliness. And that is something that we are going to talk about in the extended segment, along with exclusive behind the scenes. Thank you so much for coming on, my dear friend Chris. It was amazing chatting with you.
Zen, it was a pleasure. Come on anytime again. Hope everyone's having a great rest of their day.
That was My Digital World segment, brought to you by Navé Travel. That was the awesome Chris Mattmann, Chief Technology Officer and Innovation Officer in the aerospace industry and at NASA. You can check him out directly on his website at mattmann.ai, or you can check him out all over social media at Chris Mattmann. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Navé, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Navé makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Navé, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Navé Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Navé guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Navé, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's Navé, N-A-V-E.travel.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcoming back to the show is my awesome friend, Chris Mattmann. Welcome back, my friend.
Hey, how's it going, Zen? Nice to be back.
Thank you so much. Okay, so let's chat. So, psychological impacts here. So, as the question was stated, where do you feel we are headed with the lines that will eventually become blurred between human and robots?
Look, the pandemic pushed everyone to home, and that wasn't just for millennials. It made us all cord cutters. It made us all gamers at home. It reduced our human-to-human contact. And sort of in this post-world now where we have these amazing intelligent assistants, the chat GPTs, the generative AIs that are building images of all of our thoughts and things like that, it's just pushing us increasingly to become ever so digital. And obviously on the other end, we're not sure whether we're talking to a human or not. And that could be a very big issue because what AI doesn't sort of provide for us is that sort of human connection. Sure, it can answer all of our questions and our problems and things like that, but it's not someone we can see in the real world. It's not someone we can hang out with. It's not someone that gives us those things that are kind of uniquely human to us. So first, I think it will cause people to become more isolated. And that's a challenge. And we have to rectify that. They talk about people getting out and touching grass. It's a social media meme nowadays. But I would encourage anyone who has a tech job working with AI to go touch more grass.
The grass.
Go touch the grass, right?
So what steps can be taken to ensure that AI technologies complement and enhance human interactions rather than replace or hinder them?
Well, we have to know it's an AI that we're talking to. And right now we don't. The verification system. So a lot of people were, hard on Elon because, he made paid verification systems. What not a lot of people know there for Twitter is the reason he did that is he's trying to filter out the bots. The bots are too good nowadays to kind of understand that. And funny enough, later on, Zuckerberg did the exact same thing with Meta, right? They started, charging for verification and things like that. Part of that was bot detection. And so what we really need to know is what are bots and what aren't. And so again, this goes back to AI ethics. We need declarations of when we're dealing with, when we're talking to AI, and when AI generates content. And this is going to factor heavily into Hollywood, SAG-AFTRA, all the other, the actors, the writers' strikes, the, forthcoming things. It factors into that because again, that has to do with AI, IP, who's generating what. Right now, the studios don't want people to know because they want to pay less because AI costs them less. And that's the issues related to that. So
amazing. Chris, I think I just found my co-host to interview Sophia. She appeared on Jimmy Kimmel, right? Sophia Sophia the robot appeared on Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And guess who's talking to have her on the show?
You.
I'm like, what am I going to ask her? I'm like, are you going to replace my job in Hollywood? Like, what am I telling this robot? But yes, no, I would love to embrace her because I don't want to piss her off.
It's a good idea. Good idea.
But the topic of conversation there is, where are we headed in Hollywood? Are we now going to be employing actual robots and their handlers? Because now you could just program the script, you can make them part of it. Where this is going is that next level of craziness that we never thought could happen in our industry. But to your point, this is the underlying theme for the SAG strike right now. It's all about AI. It's all about where this is headed with the streamers and rights and making sure that likeness is afforded properly to the person that is the artist at hand, right? So it's definitely something that we need to be talking about.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I grew up in LA. I had two cinema majors at USC as my roommates. Productions, critical studies, have been in and around the industry for a while and consider myself a creative myself. Not a lot of people understand the creative process. Everything from storyboarding. It's not just writing, it's storyboarding, it's making stills, all these things. There's more than holding a light, besides acting. And so all of that work is subject potentially to automation, is subject to AI. And this is a big challenge. We need to reward and compensate. Relates to upskilling, like you and I talked about. It's not just upskilling, it's soft landings for people,
Yeah. Well, listen, we've had such a great conversation. We talked about space travel. We talked about data breaching. We talked about human interaction, Hollywood. I mean, this could go on forever. You should just come on regularly because you are just amazing.
At your service whenever you need me.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yeah. At my service. Well, okay. Well, listen, I'm going to be calling you now for every little thing. Chris, what's your opinion on this one? Chris, what's your opinion on that one? I always like to get professional experts on the show or send you articles and get your opinion on them.
I'll be ready for it.
All right. There you go. Thank you so much for coming on. It was incredibly rewarding chatting with you this morning.
Thanks so much, Zen.
That was My Digital World segment brought to you by Navé Travel. That was the awesome Chris Mattmann, Chief Technology Officer and Innovation Officer in the aerospace industry and at NASA. You can check him out directly on his website at mattmann.ai, or you can check him out all over social media at Chris Mattmann. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.